point of this vast global climate process.
Joining me now live to discuss everything there at COP30, Ruleta Camacho-Thomas, Ambassador for Climate Change for Antigua and Barbuda. Great to have you on the BBC. Fossil fuels not mentioned in the final document, deforestation mentioned once in the final document. What do you make of the deal that came out of COP30? How much progress do you think was made?
I think that there's not been much progress, but at least we didn't backtrack. So we are on even keel, I would say. We are, of course, extremely disappointed by not only the lack of ambition on mitigation, but also the lack of ambition on adaptation finance. We had expected a lot more from our partners. However, we have a multilateral process that continues even despite this difficult geopolitical situation, and for that we are grateful.
There was language, I believe, in the final agreement about working towards tripling funding for climate adaptation. Was that enough in your mind?
That's not enough, but it was a hard fought. That's not where we started in the negotiations on Thursday. So again, we are not happy with the outcome, but it is an outcome that we can build on. We look forward to the coming months where we look to build on these outcomes and look to see partners actually implement the agreements that have been made both from this COP and from previous COPs.
This was billed as the implementation COP. This was meant to be the time when the countries would actually come together and look at all the promises they've made over the past 3-4 years when it comes to cutting emissions, increasing renewables. Why do you think then that they were unable really to nail down some actionable goals when it comes to implementing those pledges?
I think this was the cup of truth. And I think the truth is that there are still people who are unwilling. There are countries who are unwilling to take action. There's still a lot of distrust. However, the Brazilian presidency has promised that during the presidency between now and the next COP in Turkey, that they will work to build the ambition towards what we expected as an outcome here in Belém at the edge of the Amazon.
Yeah, do you have faith in the next COP summit, which will be in Turkey next year? Do you have faith that, it won't be another situation like this where you come in with high hopes and in the end the final agreement is a bit less than what many countries hope for?
I think it's about our efforts, Faith without works is nil. So I think we will have to work very hard. We cannot just wait until the next COP to see what happens. I think in the coming months, in all the processes that are happening, small island states will have to be very engaged with the Brazilian presidency, with other countries who have high ambition, one, to see the process on fossil fuels develop, and also to see the ambition on adaptation take root.
Ambassador, do you think that the process still works? There's been 30 COPs. There has obviously been progress in starting to bend the curve in terms of warming globally, but we're still far off track from many of the goals that the world has set.
Yeah, I would say the process works. It's very slow. It's much slower than what we need. But without this process, we would be on a pathway. We would be about 2 degrees higher than where we are now. So it still works. It's very slow. And that's something that the parties have to continue to work on. But it is the only place where the voice of developing countries and small island developing states like mine are heard. And it's the only place where we can get decisions that are binding. And Antigua and Barbuda was part of an effort to look at these decisions and figure out where they lie in terms of the Paris Agreement. We've put that on hold now, but we have determined that they are binding decisions, and we're committed to work on this process because this is the process we have.
Just briefly, about 40 seconds left, but Antigua and Barbuda, among many other climate nations, as you mentioned, that really are on the front lines of climate change and sea level rise. What's the situation like in your home country?
The situation is that we have to continue to build resilience in our infrastructure to prevent future losses, and that is where we need support. The government continues to work very hard on development and strengthening of our infrastructure, but we need support. We cannot do this fast enough to get ourselves prepared before the next storm, and that is why we are pleading for international help on adaptation, but also on mitigation, because we've already surpassed tipping points, for example, for coral reefs that are very, very important to us.
Ruleta Camacho-Thomas, great to hear from you tonight, the Ambassador for Climate Change from Antigua and Barbuda. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Donald Trump